In this video, I'm going to show you a little exercise which will allow you to practice your legato shifting in the left hand. The shifting in the left hand can often cause a break in the sound, which means that our voice, our line of music is disturbed and there's a pause in there that shouldn't be there, kind of like this. Now that line shouldn't be broken just by the fact that my left hand is shifting. It could be broken if it's notated with a rest, but if it's just because of the shift, that's my problem. That's a technical problem. So we're going to look at how to practice making those shifts as seamless as possible to connect the notes as much as we can. Because remember, on the guitar, it's actually impossible to play legato. There's always a break between the notes. They're not connected, but we need to create the illusion that they are connected by sustaining the note as long as we can and creating the same dynamic between the notes. So one isn't dramatically softer or louder than the next. They smoothly continue on from one to another. So in the left hand here, let's look at just doing a chromatic scale like I just did. 1, 2, 3, 4 on the first, second, and third and fourth fret. And then I want you to shift up to the fifth position with your first finger and play the next chromatic notes A, B flat, B, and C. Now your goal with this is not to hear the shift. So in fact, I'm not so much interested in these notes or even these notes. What I'm interested in is hearing this between the G sharp and the A. Because I don't want to hear a break. I want to hear a smooth transition with the shift moving as quickly and smoothly as possible. So what you can do is you can play the 8 chromatic notes starting on F, and just close your eyes and listen to that point of shifting so that you can make sure that there is no difference in the sound. It's almost impossible to not hear. There's always going to be something. There's the sound of your shirt or the movement of your hand or whatever. But try and make it as subtle a change as possible. That way the line of music in the listener's ear will be continuous. And even though the music needs to be subtle and gentle, we actually need to make quite a speedy movement in the left hand. So shift with as little movement in the change of the shape as possible. Just think again of your hand being on rails like a train track. You can even just boil down the movement from that G sharp with the fourth finger to the A with the first finger. So you could just practice those two notes. And you don't want to hear any difference between those two notes. You want to try and be as smooth as possible. Now, of course, the way to give yourself an example of how to be as smooth as possible is simply to start on the second fret so you can hear it like this. Then try and mimic that with the shift. So try sometimes without the shift, going from the G sharp to the A, and sometimes with the shift. Now, once you've done that on the first string, challenge yourself a little more by putting it on the second string, third string, etc. Once you get to the fourth, fifth, and sixth string, you're going to have to start dealing with fret buzz, the shift. That scratchy, squeaky sound. So I deal with that in another lesson, but for now, just think that you can lift up, move across, and down. But that's all done in a very subtle, quick and smooth motion, up and down, very. To try and get rid of that squeak. I think the first thing to combat the squeaking and the shift noise is to just listen out for it and be aware of it. That's going to be the best thing you can do to start combating the shift noise. Now, first of all, we started with groups of 4. We can now go on to groups of 3 to up the difficulty. So we started with this. Now we can go to groups of 3. So just first finger, second finger, third finger, then the shift. And so on, and on the second string and the third string. And then of course we can get to pairs of 2 fingers. And I'm not even doing it as well as I'd like. What you need to do is try and take out the groupings. So at the moment it sounds 1, 2, 1, 2. The temptation is to play the first note heavily, but actually what you want to do is keep them all nice and even. It's really quite a difficult exercise. Then you can change to 2 and 3. Or the dreaded 3 and 4. So what you're really aiming at is getting a continuous, unbroken line. You don't want to disturb that line of music with the shifting sound, a change in dynamic, a sort of accent on the note, or a break in the sound from the shift. Okay, so keep that in mind when you're playing any passage. Maybe you're doing a scale that shifts through different positions, and that same principle will apply. But for now, you can just practice it with a simple harmonic passage, and it will really help to work on your shifting and legato playing.